Let's get this clear before we start. This video is going to contain massive universal, multiversal levels of spoilers, so if you haven't watched Across the Spider-Verse, what are you doing with your life? First things first. This movie managed to somehow be even prettier than Into the Spider-Verse, which how? I really love the pastel colors of Gwen's world, and the colors changing to reflect her mood was really neat. Insomniac Spider-Man, the GOAT, was weirdly super high detailed. Oh yeah, the cameos. For the most part, none of the cameos took away from or ruined the movie, which take notes MCU. Though Donald Glover being green screened in was really uncanny and kind of weird. I don't want to say it's shoddily edited, but like it looked weird. It might be the contrast though of having real person and CG person. Some of the references and cameos I really appreciated were Spectacular Spider-Man, who thankfully was voiced by Josh Keaton, although I'm not sure why you had to make him 4 foot tall. Actual madness. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in the movie was really surprising. Like, wow. I mean, we kind of knew about them through leaks, but like, still. Using the model of Insomniac Spider-Man again from the games and having him voiced by Yuri was really great. That actually made me smile in theaters, I can't lie. Ben Reilly's sheer existence in this movie.
That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Thank you, Sony, for giving him the crop top. Donald Glover finally reprising his role as Aaron Davis was insane. Wish the MCU remembered he existed. Gon K playing Spider-Man 2 was again super surprising, and even lowered the firmware of the game to match Spider-Verse's animation style. The boys from Into the Spider-Verse at the end with Penny having the Evangelion style mech from her comics was again really great. Lego Spider-Man did not disappoint, which on the topic, holy shit. Shout out to Lego Me, the OG, what a legend. The reference to No Way Home is nice, and thank you Sony for reinforcing that the MCU is Earth 199999. Although for them to go ahead and say Spider-Verse is Earth 1610 was kind of funny. Peak Fiction Appreciation, also known as Venom 2018 and Venom Let There Be Carnage being referenced, was lethal.
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman. Did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do.
Plus, Miles making a severe and continuous lapse in his judgment twice was unironically the best joke in the movie. And there is definitely a lot more I missed. This movie is so fucking detailed, man. What the hell? Salute to the animators. So that chase sequence taking 4 years? Fuck.
Okay, only this time, just let me have it. Right on the jock, okay? I can take it.
Story-wise, it had me worried at the beginning. I really thought they were going to create a forced love triangle between Miles, Gwen, and Hobie, which would have taken the movie from 11 out of 10 to like maybe an 8. Thank God that didn't happen. Actual worst trope a piece of fiction can do, to be honest. Starting with Gwen's perspective, which also served as a recap of the first movie, was a nice choice. Although at least in the cinema I saw the movie in, the audio mixing was kinda iffy. Like, I'm not sure if it had to do with the IMAX speakers or if it was a stylistic choice, but her voice was kinda hard to hear over the music. Seeing how her Peter died too was a good way to enrich her backstory, and you know what? Jack Quaid makes a surprisingly good Peter Parker. Kinda unexpected. It did feel that we spent maybe a little too much time in Miles' universe, because you know, for a movie called Across the Spider-Verse, you'd kind of expect some universe hopping, which we didn't see too many universes in this movie. Kind of a similar problem with Multiverse of Madness, but I'm sure it'll pay off in the long run with Beyond the Spider-Verse, factoring what the end of the movie sets up and the vision the Spot shared with Miles. But even with that aside, the worlds we saw were pretty peak. But again, the Lego universe being impressive as the segment was made by a 14-year-old really makes you question what you're doing with your own life. But I'm just gonna say this now, none of Miles' themes will top What's Up Danger. It's just not physically possible. Seeing Miles and Gwen's relationship felt really natural, and goddamn, I was not expecting this Jessica Drew variant to be such an asshole. Oscar Isaac, unsurprisingly, completely crushed it as this version of Miguel O'Hara. Definitely up there with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin in terms of not only writing, but also acting, as well as being a menacing threat. Such a fucking asshole to Miles in like an entertaining way, but yeah, he definitely felt like he'd be best buddies with Spider-Man and Lotus. Just putting that out there. Miguel's theme had no right to be as hard as it was. Some major Spider-Man Unlimited vibes, which makes sense considering the show's production history. The whole spider anomaly stuff was really surprising, but looking back on this, damn, this shit was staring us in the face the entire time. Same with the Spot foreshadowing, which, wow, major props to Rise for turning him into an A-list villain. I was really unsure at first of making him the big bad of Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse instead of something like The Inheritors, but by God, they made it work. A Dark Matter form was sick as hell too. I'm really excited to see where Mr. Bagelman goes in the next movie. Seeing Peter B. Parker, aka what 616 Cuckman should be, was perfect. And his character development and becoming a father was the best way to take his character after Into the Spider-Verse. We gotta take a minute just to talk about Earth 42 for a second. The setup to something being off about the world was excellently done. Well, yeah, it was kind of obvious he was in a different universe since the console said R42 instead of 1610, but I don't care. The scene was still done great. Following Miguel, Gwen, Ben, and Jess trying to get to Miles, all while focusing on Miles trying to tell his mom at R42 that he's Spider-Man is all done wonderfully. With the climax of this world's Miles Morales being the Prowler instead of Aaron Davis was... And again, a great callback to Miles meeting Peter B for the first time. Man, this scene was just excellently handled. I really feel like it could have hit the to be continued screen at any point during the Earth 43 scene. I think ending on Gwen assembling a team of Spideys was the best way to lead into the next movie. The whole continuity scene was interesting. I don't really know how else to put it. It was really unexpected that basically everyone was destined to lose in some shape or form, and the chase scene between everyone and Miles was definitely the highlight of New Wave of York. It was kind of funny that Marvel Legends made a whole ass figure of Cyborg Spider-Woman instead of someone like, I don't know, Ben Reilly or Pavitir. I deeply apologize if I pronounced that wrong. When she appeared for 2 seconds maximum without a speaking role. Back on track, Pavitir, again, I really apologize for mispronouncing this, and Hobie were surprisingly great additions to the movie, each being charming in their own right, and I'm super pleased they'll be returning for Beyond the Spider-Verse. Which, man, the next 9 months are going to be a pain, but it'll be worth it. Although it is kind of looking like the movie might get delayed, which, you know what? Take your time. And comparing this movie to like every other Spider-Man movie, is it the best? Yes. I think the only other movies that come close to this masterpiece are Into the Spider-Verse and No Way Home. Like, maybe Spider-Man 1 and Homecoming. But even then, there are miles behind this gem. In conclusion, this movie is something else. A solid storyline that embodies Spider-Man as a natural evolution of the characters since we last saw them. It's without a doubt the best animated movie in the last 5 years, both visually and story-wise. Not to mention the voice acting, which had everyone casted perfectly. It's going to be really interesting to see how big of an impact this movie will have on the animation industry, considering how many movies, and to a lesser extent TV shows, we tried to copy the animation style of Spider-Verse after the first movie's release in 2018, such as Puss in Boots 2, which was decent. I give it like a light 8 out of 10, definitely better than the first movie. And Intergalactic, which I haven't seen, but it literally looks like Spider-Verse 1-to-1, but on a lower budget. I don't really care about the Oscars, like, at all, but like, come on. This movie has to get an award, or at least be an Oscar nominee. I'd give Across the Spider-Verse a perfect 10 out of 10. Honestly, the best movie I've seen all year, with the only other movie coming close being Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which in itself is a satisfying end to this trilogy. With Spider-Man 2 releasing in a couple of months, it's looking like one of the best years for Spider-Man since 2018. Well, except for the comics. Also, really thinking about it, the scene where the entire Spider-Verse jumps Miles kind of feels like subtle commentary on that side of the fandom, reacting to anything involving Miles. Which, side note, yeah, I wrote this before that it was actually confirmed that it was.
Was there any degree of that story that was meant to be a sort of commentary on the fans who don't see Miles as a real Spider-Man?
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea of like canon and the
Rules
you know,
and who
rules.
gets to be.
And Spider-Man, like, you know, is it definitely is like a character that is owned by the audience, but some of that audience like takes it so seriously and is trying to enforce and restrict. I remember when Miles Morales comic book first came out, there were people who were rejecting Miles as a character, you know, for their reasons, not how we think it should be, and we wanted to talk directly to that and actually like almost stick it to that mentality of, no, anyone can wear the mask. And if Spider-Man is a character that is owned by the entire world should be represented in that character.
Right.